Monsters are more than just stat blocks. Their role in our game can go beyond combat. To make the world more interesting and create compelling foes, we need to give them more attention when world building. Hi everyone, Aviatal here. In this video, we will walk through some monstrous examples from the official D&D books and learn how to create our own monstrous society using the azers. First thing we do is stop calling them monsters, well, at least most of them. Any intelligent creature can have a society. It's true for humans, mind flayers, myconids, which are these cute fellas, and many others. We'll look at the difference between them and humans later on, but first we need to look at them from a simpler point of view, of what they are at their core. We won't be using alignment for that. In fact, you can throw alignment out the window for this video. We won't need it. Instead, we'll use traits and core values to define the creatures. We'll try to determine what they consider important. What do they want? What drives them? Are there any values they hold above the rest? Certainly there is room for individuality, just like not all humans want the same thing, but we can think of a few things most humans want. Company, relationships, safety. This may not be true for other races. We could, for example, decide that goblins hate each other's company. But they hate being slaves even more. They would rather bear each other's presence rather than having someone else command them. They find safety in numbers, nothing more. When we think of these aspects, we should aim for things we can put into play during a game session. Picking traits that we can roleplay is ideal, so when aggressive orc is easy for us to imagine. How this aggressiveness affects their society is the next leap of thought we will practice. What does an aggressive society entail?
I challenge Nekori!
We can look at it from various viewpoints to get a better understanding. I think it's ideal to create our society with characters in mind. That way, when we're done, we also have a few NPCs to work with. An aggressive society will reward the mighty. A strong orc will rise above the rest in status and become important. So a leading figure is likely to be bigger and stronger than your average orc. Weaker orcs will have a difficult time. A society that is defined by aggressive behavior will push them to the bottom, unless they can compensate by other means or attach themselves to another figure of power for protection. Let's build a society together. We're going to take the azer from the monster manual and use it for our example. There's less than a page about them, but it's more than enough for us to start building the rest. The azers are native to the elemental plane of fire. They are master crafters, expert miners, and sworn foes of the Ifrit. They look somewhat like dwarves, but where you expect to find hair or beard, there's a mane of fire instead. They're basically super metal. Azers are not born. They are crafted by other azers and imbued with a portion of the crafter's inner flame. So we can already add that to their traits. They create beautiful works from the gems and precious metals found in their volcanic habitat. The monster manual suggests that they rate the value of such treasures above all other things. This is definitely something to add to their core values. As mentioned in their description, the azers are creatures of living fire. They do not require food, drink, or sleep. This is an important trait to note because it will affect their society. We might add more traits and values as we go, but for now, let's think of a character that has all these traits and values. We'll start by picking someone who's really good at their craft. Someone that exemplifies the azer's passion for this ideal. I'll take that image for inspiration. Let's call him Corsa. Corsa is a very good craftsman. What does he craft? I thought crafting jewelry would be cool. Maybe he made magical rings or bracelets that became legend throughout the land, or perhaps even the multiverse. Is he a practitioner of the arcane then? I thought about it, could be cool, but I want something more similar to sorcery, a power that comes from within. He uses his inner flame to enchant the items when crafting it. You know, I imagine being a master craftsman requires a lot of attention to detail, so that would be another value that we could add to azers in general. Azers don't need to sleep or eat, so Corsa can pretty much work for days non-stop on his craft. That's not true for all of the azers. Someone needs to do the mining or defend their home from enemies. That's interesting. In a society so obsessed with the craft, who would want to be a warrior instead of just, well, crafting all day? Maybe there's a fighter caste among the azer, or maybe when an azer is created they spend their first few decades as warriors. until they finally master their craft and are allowed to practice it instead. The same can be true for mining, but maybe there's prestige in finding a perfect gem, and some of the azers have a knack for it. I like the caste idea. There will be 2 castes, the miners and the crafters. No, actually make that 3. I want a ruling caste as well. See what we did here? We took Corsa, who represents a value of the azer, and used him to learn something about the structure of his society. All azers practice some form of personal craft, but they have to spend at least a portion of their time doing caste duties. For a ruling caste, caste duties could be writing laws, leading new azers in patrols, or being a judge. For the crafter caste, it could be making mass production tools or building roads. For the miner caste, it could be, well, mining and transferring materials for the other 2 castes to craft with. In their spare time, when they are done with their caste duties, they can practice any craft that they want. That's a cool social structure. We could try some more NPCs, but I want us to focus on their traits instead. The azers reproduce by taking a part of their own fire and feeding it into their creation. How does it happen? What is it like to be a new azer? They're not born as kids, but instead start in the form they will be in for the rest of their life. The way I see it, they carry some of the knowledge of their creator with them, and are not born completely oblivious to the world around them. They know how to speak and perform simple tasks, and the rest they learn fairly quickly. But the craft is something that takes time to perfect, so I'd say it takes new azers a few decades before they are proficient enough to craft a metal body of their own. I would also say that this process weakens their fire for a while, and it takes some time before they fully recover. It doesn't say how long azers live, but I don't want them to be immortal. Maybe when an azer grows old, whatever age that is, they can choose to make one final creation. They pour all of their remaining fire into one last masterpiece. If that creation is a new azer, it somewhat resembles the creator but will not remember anything from their past life. If that happens, the azer will usually be catered to by previous creations of the deceased. I like the idea of continuity through fire. It reminds me of the phoenix. Which is perfect because the phoenix exists in our world, and well, even if it didn't, we could decide that it does now. Perhaps the azer even worship the great firebird. This is a good example of a connection of one culture to the creatures around it. We already have the Ifrit as enemies, and now they hold the phoenix sacred. Maybe they believe she created the first azer or something like that. Whatever the case, this is something we should keep in mind, because the interaction with races around them connects our culture to the rest of the world and makes it feel real. On that note, we should also think, where do we encounter azer in our setting and story? The monster manual suggests that people often summon azers for the vast knowledge in the craft of magical items. Maybe one azer could send a party on a quest to retrieve a rare piece of art or a remarkable gem.
Gems are truly, truly, truly outrageous.
I feel that we have a better grip of what azers are, so now it's time to talk about what they aren't. How are they different from humans? Well, the fact that it takes only one azer to create another is huge. There's no reason for them to get married, and the concept of romantic love could be alien to them. They understand passion, friendship, and even kinship, but not romance. The azer can work tirelessly because they don't need to sleep or eat. They don't understand what it means to be physically tired, except maybe when compared to the exhaustion they suffer from creating another azer, which most of them only experience later in life. For azers, crafts are more important than people. If an azer damages or destroys something of great artistic value, they might be executed. The same is true for any visitors they have. I'd say the azers view themselves immortal so long that something they created persists past their death. So the only way to truly kill an azer is destroying everything that they made during their life. So if you weren't burned to a crisp by a giant firebird till now, you've heard me talk about monstrous societies. We've talked about the traits and core values that define them. We use the values and traits to build a character and learn about the social structure of the society through it. We went over the traits individually and thought about their influence on our society. We talked about the society's connections to the other creatures around it, and how these relationships lead to a feeling of a cohesive world. We mentioned some ways to connect the society to our world and story. And finally, we compared them to humans and through that learned what they aren't. The beauty of this method is that we can keep making NPCs, developing different values or traits, and building relationships with other creatures until we are content. Personally, I feel like I have enough to run an azer NPC now. I also have enough to create a city for the azer. You can check out how to do that with the settlements video. This entire video was inspired by Volo's Guide to Monsters. It contains plenty of wonderful examples of monstrous societies, and I've learned a lot by reading it. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you want to throw more ideas on the azer or give me your tips on building societies, hit me in the comments. If you want to chat, I'd be happy to do so in the channel Discord. You'll find a link in the description. Until next time, you are awesome, keep being awesome, and I'll see you beyond the screen.